Welcome to Off the Shelf. I'm your host, Yvonne Wolf. Today, our special guest is Artur Wielgus. He is a published poet with Glenview Lantern. He has been writing for 30 years, and on Glenview Lantern, he has over 50 of his poems published. Artur, welcome to our program.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Tell us, how did you get started publishing your poems on Glenview Lantern? This is about 3 years ago?
Yeah, 3 years ago in August when I started. We had a condominium in Glenview, and later we bought a townhouse and we rented the condominium to the couple whose wife was writing poems, and then she published, and my wife seen it, so she said, you can try to send it to, and I did, and they published. I started with collections of Chicago Sonnets. The first poem was about Glenview, and lately they are printing my collection about Native Americans.
Yes, you cover many topics, and you like the Native American topics, and I've read some of them. Why did you choose that?
As a child, I was fascinated with American natives, their way of life, their balance with nature, and I read many books about them, so this is sort of my tribute to them, to American native nations, when I write about them, and the collection is called The Poetic Stories of Native Americans.
And you've been writing poems for over 30 years. And you have also published online.
Yes, yes. I can be read on the Poetry Forum, one word, .co.uk. This is a British website. Also here in United States is authorme.com and reservebooks.com, books with plural, and on poetrysoup.com.
Yes.
So
we will make those sites available for our viewers. And we also, for example, I saw your poems on Poem Hunter.
yes.
And so you've been published more longer
Oh yes,
online,
yes,
right?
yes. Some rewards I received, I gave you earlier, and I received like the Golden Poet Award. It was 1989, I think, 1989, so long time ago.
And that was online?
This was, back then they didn't have it online. This was like a poetry.com. It was, yeah. Also, yeah, they started with, but like in an anthology of the book, so they also put it in the book and as a one poems.
So there are some advantages of publishing online now that there's more venues and electronic magazines and anthologies. What are some advantages of publishing online?
Publishing online is good because if we want to change something in a poem, we can easily edit it and then change. When the book is printed, it is hard to do it, but online, the poem can be easily accessed and then modified.
And you feel that is what writers do all the time, right? Poets, of course.
Yeah, because sometimes just one word can be changed, or a sentence, or an entire stanza in a poem. So it's a good way to change it.
How about reaching your audience, like being able to see comments? Is that satisfying for a writer?
Yes, yes, because people post comments, and the most of the comments I see is on this British side, the Poetry Forum co.uk. That's the most of a verb, but also people usually try to be nice, not to criticize severely, but I also sometimes post the comments for other people. Yeah,
yes, the online community can be actually very instant, right? And very
yes, in
fast.
Responding and reading, yes.
And do you find yourself checking more often for comments?
Oh yeah, almost
because
every day.
Right?
Every day I check it.
That's addicting.
Yeah, and sometimes it also shows how many people have read the poem.
Yes.
So like I had one poem called Brexit, and it's on poetrysoup.com. It's 353 people read it so far.
Oh,
yeah, on British side about 80 people. So altogether about 400 people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, well.
I noticed myself, even though I don't publish on a, let's say, a poet site, I recently find that just writing on TripAdvisor, I can see how many people read it, and it's very interesting how fun that can be, you know,
Yeah.
as a writer.
The more people read, the better, because it makes you feel better. Yeah.
Yes, and tell us a little bit about your writing career. Now, you came to America from near Krakow, Poland.
Yes.
And tell us about that journey of writing.
Yeah, I had a good predecessor, Joseph Conrad, who also emigrated from Poland, and he later changed his name to Joseph Conrad. His last name was Korzeniowski. And he was writing only in English, and he emigrated as a grown-up person, so I thought I can do it too, even though English is my second language.
Yes.
And,
he's a great role model. Not many people even know that Joseph Conrad, who wrote Heart of Darkness, is not of English descent, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
So you find him to be a role model. Can you read us a poem you wrote about him?
Yes. I wrote a poem as a tribute to him, and it's called In Memory of Joseph Conrad. Man of the sea, why are you departing forever away, touching a sail on the ship that glides, fading as a wave, winds of seas only waving, hugging flags goodbye for the brave. The sails of your ship are shyly caressing wind at play, sorrow hymn is soaring, and the grief is rising to the sky. Requiem of songs under the clouds, reminiscent of your plight. Beyond depths of ocean, you only become more silent. In solitude, your hardship. Also love was born, peace and strength. Waves are rising and bowing, you on the ship as an island. Urns with homeland soil are swinging slowly to the rhythm. Earth was bound with the ribbon of the water behind your ship. The birds flew down on us in your books of imagination. There presiding noble is spirit of right aspiration. Vivid pictures, distant lands through landscapes, now awaits a grief. Helm is free, forward, forward, guide to safety ship in distress. Flee from rocks underwater far, after thick fog is dispersed. The drums are playing long, in your honor quiet requiem song. Requiem pageant dark covered in silence, standing all aboard. Your noble urns of rest are anxious, saluted with a gong. Enlighten, we shall carry your thoughts to the sides of the world.
Well, that's a very nice opening, and that's for the book called
Well, this
The Theater
was the Theater of the Mind. Yeah.
Yes. And you say that as a poet, you said writing in a collection of poetry, it's easier to read than a novel. Why is that?
Yes. Because the book of poetry can be read. The prose has to be read from the first page to the last, and in poetry we can read from the last page to the first page. We can open it anywhere. Like sometimes people open Bible and they read whenever their eyesight falls on the paper. So it's in the poetry we don't have to read the entire book. We can read one poem a day, or just open it anywhere and then read from.
And that may be very suitable for our busy lives now, right? Even in the online sites that you mentioned, that we can read a poem just on our phone or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, Art, you've been writing since you were 15.
Yes.
So do you have some advice for writers?
Never give up, if you write and somebody else discourages you, because you will improve. The person grows up with writing and then improves. The writing changes the style later, and it's encouraging and beneficial even to the person who writes.
And that's who encouraged you. I mean, I know you mentioned your wife was very encouraging for you to put you on it.
Only when she told me that I can send it to the newspaper instead of putting them in the drawer.
Right, share it with the world, right?
Yeah,
yes.
But show it to some other people that they can read, and maybe you get some feedback from it. Yeah.
And were there others who encouraged you that you feel?
Probably teachers in school,
Yeah.
big teachers of English, but when it goes to the close friends and family, they rather not, because basically it's not very rewarding to write. It's time consuming.
It is. It is, but do you have a time you set aside to write, or do you just write when you feel you have some thoughts?
Sometimes it's just inspiration, which it may come anytime. You cannot sleep during night, and many times I have to go and get a pen and paper and write. So, sometimes it's worth to not to ignore it when that inspiration comes. It's better to write it down, because it's. Later it may be harder to try to think it again, and the thoughts can be forgotten by
yes. And how do you organize your writing? Do you keep an electronic file, or do you keep copies of the same poem in different files?
Usually I start to write on the paper, and then I have electronics, because when I rewrite them, it's on the computer. So the paper I will later destroy, throw it out, and just have it electronic copy.
Some other topics that you like to explore in poetry. You say you like to write about social injustice, right? And you also like to write about Chicago architecture, which we have some of the examples in the Glenview Lantern. So can you tell us a little bit about maybe the social injustice topics that you have?
Yeah, that's why I selected the poetic stories of Native Americans, the topic of Native Americans, because as a child, I read about them, and I like their way of life, the balance with nature, and they were the first masters of this land. They came here probably 12,000 years ago, and were almost living here forever, but now their fate changed, and I sort of feel sorry for them. I would like to see them on a win-win situation, and so right now it's sort of win-lose, that we won and they lost. But we need to focus on the character ethics, not on the personality ethics. In that way we can achieve win-win situation much more easily in that case. So, and also, like another topic was, because I like very much Chicago architecture, so I wrote the collection of Chicago Sonnets. And I also probably would like to go to the marketing side of the poetry, to be a copywriter.
Yes. So have you visited some of the Native American sites, or there's a Native American museum in Evanston? Is this how you get your inspiration to write? Do you read about them too?
We went on a trip, and we have seen that Crazy Horse Mountain, which is huge. The face of it is larger than Egyptian pyramid. And it was also made by the Polish man. I forgot his name. I think Wielgus was his name. And after he passed away, his family members are continuing working on that project. And this is private project on that site. So it really inspired me that one man makes such a huge sculpture, and he rose my interest in Native Americans to write about it.
Right. And there's many places around here, right? You can visit and learn about their artwork and their.
Yes, I was also in Canada a few times, and then was visiting. There is more in Canada probably than here in the United States that Native Americans are present in life of the society.
That's probably true. Well, I come from Los Angeles, so there's not much left in Los Angeles. Now, and tell us about how your life in Glenview has helped you as a writer. You lived in Glenview for 18 years, right?
Yes, 18 years already. And Glenview is so close to Chicago. Glenview is a peaceful, quiet society. And Chicago is so close that you can almost every day go there, and even to work. And then when you come back from Chicago, you can gather your thoughts and write. It's a very good place to live, close to also Lake Michigan. So it's a beautiful little city. Yeah.
And Glenview Lantern, what poems are coming up that maybe are
I think that tomorrow
they
they will print another poem from this collection of Native Americans. We are in the middle of right now, so probably about 7 more will come up.
About the Native Americans?
Yeah, and maybe later, I don't know yet what I will write about or send them.
Is there a particular tribe that you're very interested in?
Oh, like recently I wrote about one Indian woman who became a saint. And so it was called Lily of the Mohawks. So it's, rather, I treat all these nations as one. Yeah. And I would like to see them, that they someday unite in one, because otherwise they will perish if they don't unite. They have to sooner or later unite, maybe select even one language as their common language, because all these nations, they have their own languages. Or maybe just adopt English as their language, common for them, and keep their one of their own.
Art, will you read a poem from your Chicago architecture collection?
Yes, yes. Maybe I can read about Chicago River. It's called Chicago River. City pictures on your water, buildings are pushing banks, you are washing them with tide, then adoring them as ribbon. You are moving with affection, carrying city as reflection. Boats with tourists are passing, with the rays of warming sun. You remember running prairies, bowing bridges standing long, glassy buildings now stand strong. Misty lasting, quiet landscape, trees are standing on your sideways, and the people look with joy.
Oh, that's very telling about the river being so alive and so picturesque. Art, will you read us a poem from your Native American collection?
Yes, yes. Let's maybe read this one. The American Indian's Ritual. This is ritual to honor Mother Earth, clear water, rivers and streams. We are dancing, we are chanting, imitating animals. We express our pain, our sorrow, our grief, caused by the overman. Hear us, Great Spirit, our Manitou. We dance with tremor. May Great Spirit find us worthy. Spin, spin, Mother Earth, for distant better is future. Our dance is about the universe, galaxies and their black holes, stars million times larger than our planet, and their fiery lights. We dance with tremor, asking Great Spirit that on the judgment day the sun does not swallow the earth.
No, that's very nice.
And another one is called Squanto. Squanto was a servant of Great Spirit Manitou. Pure heart Squanto was confounded by 2 cultures of colonists and the natives. His innocent mind was devastated when his entire nation was wiped out by the plague. He survived, for he was kidnapped and taken to Europe. In England, he learned the language of colonists and was almost sold into slavery. Upon his arrival to his native land, he negotiated peace between colonists and the natives. Squanto set precedents for native nations. He knew that to survive meant to assimilate into the culture of colonists without abandoning native ways. The nations should unite, have one common language, speak with one voice. That was Squanto plan.
Well, that's very nice biography of his life. Now, what kind of advice do you have for poets who want to publish online? Now, there are some requirements, perhaps, right? Online poetry?
On online, like on Poetry Sub, you just create an account and then can submit poems by logging in, so it's not hard. But say for like others, like authorme.com, they have editors that you have to send for evaluation, and they may reject or post. But there is plenty of both sides, and then you can all, if they reject one, don't give up. Just rephrase it, redo it, try another time, and keep writing.
So online, can the poems cannot be too long, perhaps? Because you have to scroll down? Or
yeah, sometimes they have limits on how many lines. Usually it goes for 20 lines, so it's like 5 stanzas by 4 lines.
Yes.
So not too long.
How about, I guess there's poems with shapes. Would that be easier to see on a online venue?
With the shapes?
Yes. Have you experimented with that?
In the beginning, I was more into it, but later I tried to write the poems from a different perspective, and I concentrate more on it and less on the like the rhyming. For me, the rhythm is more important than the rhyme. So on the British side, people tend to rhyme. I think they more than here. Yeah, they prefer rhyming. But here we go more for a free form.
Free verse.
Yeah.
Okay, and so and I think that in our in your publishing experience, do you try and publish different new poems, or do you try to work with one poem in many places? Or
I have many of the poems, so I rather send to different places different poems instead of just trying to send just one, because it's better and to send more.
And so the more you have, how many would you say you prepare for? Before you start publishing online, would you prepare like 20, or what would you recommend?
No, because you can usually online you can submit yourself. So like even if you have something one, you can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, but
that's an easy start.
Yeah,
right?
that's easy. Like start for someone, and then can also get the feedback. People can comment on it. So. Yeah.
So are you still interested in publishing in an anthology or your own collection?
Or
do you pursue that as well?
I would like to publish a book, but it would be rather that someone like a publisher can do it for me instead of me like paying for the book, because I know that many writers
are self-published. Yes,
self-published, but in the past, many were published after their death. So who knows, how it will go. But I don't want to publish by myself. I would rather have a publisher to do it. I think that like publishing in the newspaper is a good beginning for the later to get it into the book.
Well, Art, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you for sharing your publishing experiences with us.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation. It was good to be with you.
And thank you for joining us. See us next time on Off the Shelf.